The Rangers apparently rent a Jeep and head out to the boonies, which Chase says are called the Wop Wops in New Zealand. Hey there, Rangers, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Charge episode review. I know, I normally wear orange, but hey, I figured that this shirt was appropriate this week. And I think we're in for a lot of action this week because this episode is rated for violets. Let's get into the 17th, and yeah, the 17th, sorry about that confusion last week, episode of Dino Charge, World Famous, in New Zealand. As Shelby is complaining to Kendall about her work hours, Chase comes running into the cafe with a newspaper. The headline is that a UFO was spotted flying over New Zealand, and the picture is of one of Sledge's transport pods. The picture was taken by a Bigfoot hunter named Albert. This newspaper raises a number of questions for me, and that number is 3. Question number 1. How did Chase get his hands on this newspaper? I know that some newspapers do international delivery, but I don't think any of the ones in New Zealand are big enough. It would have been much more believable for Chase to be seeing this on a laptop, since pretty much every newspaper in the world does have a website. Number 2. Kendall has an entire lab full of computer equipment scanning the skies, and you have to imagine that some of those scanners are locked directly onto Sledge's ship. And they needed a newspaper to tell them that Sledge was launching transport pods into New Zealand? Number 3. You're telling me that a major newspaper ran a front page story about a UFO based on a photo that was provided to them by a Bigfoot hunter? This actually becomes a bigger question as we learn more about Albert's character, but most major newspapers wouldn't print that photo anywhere in the paper just based on who took it. So the Rangers hop a plane and head to New Zealand, which, as several commenters have pointed out on previous videos, officially confirms that Amber Beach is not in New Zealand. What it does not do, however, at any point throughout the episode is establish where Amber Beach actually is. I still have the same questions about why it's still summer and is... I've been suggesting doing a bit of sightseeing before going to find Albert. Because, yes, of course, finding an all-powerful, potentially world-threatening energem can wait until we've taken a selfie at the Sky Tower and seen dolphins swimming by a ferry. Coda wants to jump in and swim with them, which is cute, and kudos to the writers for establishing that Chase's family lives in the South Islands of New Zealand, hence why he's not going to visit them. He does mention once again that he is going home for Christmas, however. The Rangers apparently rent a Jeep and head out to the boonies, which Chase says are called the Wop Wops in New Zealand. They stumble into a Bigfoot trap that had been set by Albert and meet the man. He's a rather eccentric older gentleman and regales the Rangers with tales of battling a giant squid and finding a dragon egg. He gives the Rangers photos of 5 places that he's seen the pods and then steps away to check a police scanner.
World famous in New Zealand.
Roll credits. Tyler walks over with him and the two of them bond. Albert clearly reminds Tyler of his own father who once took him on a Bigfoot hunt. Albert asks Tyler how many they caught. There's more than one? But Tyler says all he caught was a cold. The Rangers leave with the info and Chase is driving on the right side of the car, which is a great catch because they didn't need to switch the wheel over this time. As the Rangers look over the locations and try to find a pattern, finding nothing more than Riley's genius observation that Sledge must be looking for something, a thief steals a bike. The Rangers say they'll catch him on foot somehow. But it turns out that the thief is caught by another Ranger. Yeah, that's right, I said another Ranger. The Rangers run up on the thief being tied up by the Purple Ranger. Well, that answers that question, doesn't it? He runs away from the other Rangers but runs straight into Meteor, the monster Sledge had been sending to find the purple energem. The Rangers morph off screen and fight him and some Vivix, but the Purple Ranger is freaked out. After a fight with some slightly more natural fight banter, a Dinomorpher Blast / Lightning Strike chases Meteor back to Sledge's ship. The Rangers are sympathetic that the Purple Ranger was scared, seeing as this was probably his first encounter with a monster. But he recognizes the Rangers' voices and demorphs, and of course it's Albert. I mean, he was wearing purple earlier. He literally has no idea what a Power Ranger is, even though he's been becoming one. And that's, I mean, It's that same thing where I'm really annoyed that there's somebody that doesn't know what a Power Ranger is, but at the same time, Albert is older and he's been kind of isolated. Tyler tells him that now he can help save the entire world. While he looks excited, he seems unsure. Up on the sledge boat, Wrench revives two monsters, Ice Age and Stingrage, and hey, their names rhyme. Why? Well, Sledge's logic is that after Meteor's initial failure, he can't trust this mission to a new monster. So he's going to add two more monsters who have both already failed once. Because that makes sense. The Rangers get into workout clothes that they packed for some reason and challenge Albert to a little readiness test. But surprisingly, he is incredibly fit for a man of his age, just as fast and strong as the Rangers are. He tells the Rangers that he found the Energem up on a mountain saving a little girl during a freak snowstorm. I thought that this was a great opportunity to work in some of what Ice Age had been doing before the show began, but there was no mention of him, which makes me wonder why they felt the need to mention a freak snowstorm when the girl was already at the top of a mountain. So of course, the same bravery and self-sacrifice formula gets Albert bonded to the purple Energem and chosen to be a ranger. Since then, he's become something of a local hero in New Zealand, stopping bike robbers, purse snatchers, etc. Again, I'm not sure why this wouldn't lead to multiple news reports of a Power Ranger helping the police in New Zealand, but oh well. Alien biosigns in Auckland, but the Dino comms just beep. Kendall must have been busy fixing whatever it was that kept her from seeing Sledge's pods launch in the first place. The three monsters are tearing up the city, so the Rangers get over there and they morph. It was so great to see Albert get an actual morphing sequence. And if you actually zoom in on his square, you see that he's putting the purple Energem into the morpher, which is just an amazingly excellent catch and a nice touch. However, his morphing sequence doesn't include his eye patch, which is something that we'll get to in a moment. The Rangers get to work. Except for Albert. He's still not ready for this whole fighting monsters business. Tyler tells a joke and then asks us if we get it. Tyler, never do that. But then he runs to protect Albert, who hides around a corner. Tyler joins him there, and Albert admits that he's a fraud. No giant squid, no Bigfoot, even the eye patch is a fake. Sorry, Albert, but the morph kind of just gave that away. Tyler reassures Albert that he is brave, reminding him of the girl he rescued. He then gets back into the battle, and when the monsters pull out a ball to use against the Rangers steal it and use it themselves. Tyler hits it with the Royal Dino Punch, even though he doesn't use a packet charger and there's no indication that he ever learned how to do that attack. Anyway, it drives back the two Age monsters and Sledge makes Meteor grow. Tyler, Shelby, and Coda summon their Zords. Well, Tyler and Shelby did. Coda used his Stego charger, but for some reason the Ankylozord showed up. Whoops. Anyway, Tyler stays on the ground to protect Albert and the purple Energem, while Chase pilots the Dino Charge Megazord in the lead position with Ivan in Chase's position. Tyler's instinct to protect the Energem was right on the money as the two of them are ambushed by the Age monsters. Tyler's leg is frozen, but Albert says he knows just where to go. Meanwhile, up in the Zords, Chase summons the Pachazord for a surprise attack, and then the Rangers form the brand new Ankylopachy formation. This formation is surprisingly fast and fluid with its hands. It's almost like it was kung fu fighting out there. Anyway, skipping to the end of the Megazord fight, they go all Miley on Meteor, using the Wrecking Ball to take him out. Albert leads Tyler into the woods, but the monsters catch up with them. Albert screws up his courage and morphs, but he just seems to be too old for the job, complaining about his back and swinging wildly, causing the bemused monsters to back up a little bit. But it was all a trick as Albert straightens up and kicks them back into rope traps that string them up like Bigfoots. Big feet. Big feets? Anyway, the fight helped Albert realize two things. One, he really is brave and strong. And two, he can't join the team and become a Power Ranger. He realizes that he's strong enough, but he just can't leave his home, especially now that he's a local hero. But I mean, isn't he stuck with the job? The Energem is bonded to him. Well, apparently that's no longer a problem. Keeper is able to unbond an Energem from a person. This ability kind of comes out of left field, though I do have to admit this is the first time we've encountered a character that didn't want to be a Power Ranger. Albert passes the Energem to Keeper through his staff, which unbonds it. Albert will continue being a local hero in New Zealand without his Ranger powers, while the Rangers take the purple Energem back home. This episode was cute. Have you ever heard a girl call a guy cute and you get the impression that that might not be the compliment you think it is? That's kind of the case here. I'm kind of reminded of the very best of Super Megaforce. It was a good episode, but there were a lot of confusing factors and just outright mistakes. Nothing can unbond me from my commitment to finding these fossils. Episode 17.
World famous in New Zealand.
Pros: Albert was just a fun older character. This was a unique way to introduce a new Ranger. The Rangers finally visit New Zealand despite the show filming there. New Megazord formation that has a unique fighting style. Cons: the episode makes some key errors and prompted a lot of questions. I literally didn't score this episode until I typed these very words.
World famous in New Zealand.
Gets 3.5 fossils out of 5. Like I said, this was a really hard episode for me to score. I really did like it. The story really was cute. We get very few older Rangers, and Albert was just a fun character. It was great, if a little unrealistic, for them to make Albert so strong and fast, physically equal to the other Rangers. While it's kind of hard for me to imagine him hanging out with the younger Rangers, I really found myself wishing that there was some way for him to be a Power Ranger. It's really empowering for the parents that are watching the show. But the rest of this episode was surprisingly rough. From the weirdness with Chase's newspaper, to Ivan suggesting sightseeing before going to find the Energem, to the Rangers trying to catch a bike thief on foot unmorphed, to Sledge's reasoning for reviving the monsters, to Tyler using the Royal Dino Punch even though we've never seen him learn it, to the Stego Anklo mistake. It all just comes across as writers so excited to write this episode that they forgot a lot of the finer details. And to be fair, that excitement does come through. It was a good story and well told. So the Rangers have the purple Energems safe and sound and are now headed back home. Or are they? We find out in next week's episode, episode 18, Deep Down Under. With the purple Energem in hand, the Rangers race to find the Plesiozord before Sledge can destroy it for good. With a mission that important, and a title like that, I would not be surprised to see the Rangers stay in New Zealand for at least another week. But that's something we'll get to next week, won't we? That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Charge episode review. Thank you all so much for watching, as always. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, may the power protect you. I think we're in for a lot of action this week because this episode is rated for violence. And yeah, the joke is so good that I can't remember. And they needed a newspaper to tell them that Sledge was launching. I did 1 in 1 take, could be 2 in 2 takes, and 3 in 3 takes. They stumble into a Bigfoot trap that had been set by Albert and meet the man. He's a rather eccentric older gentleman and regales the Rangers with tales of battling a giant squid and finding a dragon egg. He gives the Rangers... The Rangers run up on the thief being tied up by the Purple Ranger. After a fight with some slightly more natural fight banter, a Dinomorpher Blast / Lightning Strikes, Chase pieces of particle poop. The Rangers get into workout clothes that they packed for some reason, and meanwhile, up in the Zords, Chase summons the Packazord for a surprise. Albert takes Tyler into the woods, but the monsters catch up with them. But then he straightens up and kicks them into rope traps. It was all a trap, and it was a trap, and it was a trap, trappity trap, trappity trap. It's a trap! It's a trap! But the rest of this episode was just surprisingly rough. From the weirdness with Chase's newspaper to, newspaper sightseeing. But the rest of this episode was just surprisingly rough. From the weirdness with Chase's newspaper to Ivan suggesting sightseeing before going to find the Energem, to the range. But the rest of this episode was just surprisingly rough. From the weirdness with Chase's newspaper to So anyway, the Rangers have the purple Energem back in their hands. Not back in their hands, they never had it.